Good morning, good evening, and welcome to World of Warships Legends. My name is Robin, and today we will be sailing and reviewing the Tier 7 Tech Tree American alternate battleship, Kansas. But first of all, thank you very much for tuning in the video. I really appreciate it, and I hope you will enjoy your time here. Not every day you will see me share a game in a slow reloading, speed lacking, sluggish battleship, since most of you may know they are not my favorite ships to play, although out of all the alternatives I've tried so far, Kansas has been extremely reliable and fun to play. A colleague of mine recommended a build I will share on the screen, feel free to pause for more details. Essentially, we are a tanky gun platform able to punish broadsides extremely hard if we pick our shots right. But that's enough of these descriptions. Let's take the Kansas to battle. And here we are on the map Tears of the Desert domination mode. Matchmaking has sort of blessed us. There are no destroyers in this game, although a carrier on each team, the enemy one being a Kaga. You will notice a few things already. Our guns reload in 33 seconds, which differs greatly from what Kansas can do on PC. Legends being overall a faster paced game with closer range encounters, most other ships are rebalanced around that environment. We don't get defensive AA. The only real comparable trait of this ship on both games is how hard it can hit with these 12 16-inch guns, coming with great ballistics and accuracy. Other pros are a tight turning circle and a pretty good torpedo damage reduction for the tier. Otherwise, you are slow, not particularly armored, with close to useless secondaries and mediocre anti-air. Enemy Bismarck spotted, and we are going to send our first salvo. Now, the commander I'm running has a special skill. As long as your catapult fighter is up, your main battery will deal an extra 20% damage, okay? Paired with another skill that adds a 5% damage boost for shells traveling over 10 kilometers. Yeah, it's a bit nuts, I know. Even though sort of wasted on this salvo, as we only connect 4 shells and deal 7,000 damage. But you can only imagine the devastating potential you have on some occasion. When I said I liked this battleship a lot is purely on how reliable the guns are. If you lead correctly and pick your targets, you will deal damage, guaranteed. Unlike some battleships at the tier or even above. It seems consistency is the word here, as we absolutely nail the enemy Georgia for over half her HP, almost at the edge of our firing range too. And that wasn't even with our special catapult fighter trick here, so yeah. These are things you can do in this game. And skills like these exist for all classes too. Regardless, we are off to a great start. Sort of leading the push on C2, even if we are crawling at 23 knots when we're not turning. But I have a lot of teammates backing me up, so I feel quite confident. If there would have been destroyers in this game, I definitely would have kept a more distant stance and focused on sniping a bit more, even though that would have been a pretty boring video to watch, especially for Legends. Meanwhile, Bismarck is going to get hit for 12,000 damage. 7 out of 12 shells at 16 kilometers is pretty satisfying, I have to admit. But we have more pressing matters at hand. Enemy team has already captured Charlie, and we have another Georgia already in brawling range, and an enemy mines, and an enemy hipper. So yeah, we pushed into a bit of a sticky situation now, didn't we? Guns on hipper with a waterline shot. We are going to activate our catapult fighter once again and hope for the best. Nah, 2 pens, 6 over pens. For 17,000 damage. No citadels, unfortunately. The German cruisers do be trolling like that sometimes, although the hipper won't be coming back for more anytime soon. Meanwhile, Gneisenau and I are barely whistling through mines torpedoes, figuring out which target is the most important right now. You may or may not have noticed this cross icon next to the minimap, branded Will to Rebuild. This is yet another very powerful skill for battleships or other classes, and it works as follows. As long as you are a certain distance from an allied ship, in that case 3.5 kilometers, you will get a passive constant heal of 0.3% of your HP per second the moment your health goes below 20%. So basically, it's a permanent heal when on low health, and well, considering how tight we are right now with Gneza now, we will be benefiting from that skill if we receive enough damage. And well, we are getting there, being farmed by HE and eating torpedoes, though this won't prevent us from pushing that corner, firing at Georgia. I get reminded that Kansas is a battleship after all, though, and as reliable as the guns can be, it can still yield disappointing salvos like this, entirely missing the Citadel and adding just a few overpains on mines. We are in trouble now, though. I was hoping that salvo would kill at least one ship. Now we are forced to turn away and try to crawl back into cover. On PC, that would have been it. That's it. No DCP, heal on cooldown, HE spamming cruiser, ready to finish you off, and no cover to run to. But here, the moment our health goes below, 13, 14k HP, the will to rebuild kicks in and is going to keep us alive, mitigating the fire damage and even restoring HP as fast as we lose it. Is it OP? Yes. No arguing here. It is OP. If you are not running Will to Rebuild on your battleships right now, you are losing out on one of the most powerful skill in the game. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is, as the mines goes down, granting us our first frag of the game and getting us out of a rough spot. We are in cover, undetected and out of harm's way for now. We are trying to finish off the enemy Georgia, which insists on showing us broadside while getting away with it somehow, but our Gneza now has decided to just send it and is taking the bulk of the enemy's attention. Unfortunately, only half of our salvo is able to clear the island, and Georgia will get destroyed by our Bismarck instead. 2 ships down on each teams, and we are pretty close on points too. The enemy has started to push A as hard as we pushed C, but we definitely have the momentum on this flank, even though I have taken a beating and need to be more careful on how I trade my HP. For now, let's focus on assisting in capping while setting up our next salvo. Enemy Bismarck is back and pushing, and while he's busy with our allies, I want to wait out a broadside before I fire. I do have a pretty good concealment, 13.1 kilometers, which is definitely above average for the class. Or is it below average? Anyway, it's good, so we can creep out of cover without being spotted instantly. Bismarck is angled enough to auto-bounce, so I aim a little higher. Superstructure on German battleships is very easily farmed out, and we do get 6 full pens for about 15,000 damage. Once again, a very reliable salvo. Return fire luckily doesn't citadel us. We were flat broadside for a moment here, but since I have a crossfire position, I want to hold it until the next salvo to see if I can get a second kill. Enemy Albemarle, if that's how you pronounce it, is caught in the open against our friendly Jean Bart, and after finishing off the Bismarck, we are going to push out to meet her. We are also trying to stay close enough from an ally to maintain the Will to Rebuild perk active would we take a big hit from somewhere unexpected, as we are now pushing right down the middle of the map. But for now, our 12 barrels are gonna be pointed right down the squishy bow of that British cruiser. And to add a little spice to that, why not use our catapult fighter again, eh? Probably unnecessary, considering we overmatch virtually every part of the ship, but it's still great to wipe out a cruiser with a devastating strike through the nose. Confederate and high caliber achieved, as we are pushing 170,000 damage so far, but the game is essentially over for the enemy team. Remains the enemy Kaga, the Georgia we crippled early game, and a cruiser currently capturing A, which we will instantly get our attention focused on. You have seen me flicker the zoom like I'm about to do a few times already, and I will explain why. In full honesty, it is a very lazy but somehow efficient way to aim. Getting in and out of aiming mode while locked on a ship will sort of automatically set your aim point at the waterline. You just have to adjust the lead a little, and you have a pretty solid shot most of the time. Not as good for cruisers or destroyers, but for battleships it's a little guilty trick I use, the enemy St. Louis being a direct victim of this. 4 kills, the Kraken Greed is activated, and I am patiently waiting for my guns to reload in order to finish what I started with Georgia. We have a rough idea of where the enemy Kaga is, but that spot was from early in the game. She could be at the corner of the map already. Unfortunately, Georgia is robbed by our friendly Bismarck. That leaves us with the D cap to grab and the CV to try and snipe. I do have a pretty great range for a tier 7 battleship. Even if I won't be catching that CV myself with my speed, I can surely help getting rid of her and claim our victory. So, while we are cruising our way down at 20-ish knots, I want to ask you something a bit different. Simple. What do you think about World of Warships Legends in general? Some of you played it, some of you play it, most of you are from PC, and well, World of Warships PC is the game that started everything for me. So I want to reassure you, of course, PC content is on the table, definitely, but I have to admit that in terms of fun factor, Legends is currently where it's at for me. I caught myself enjoying the change of pace. I get less triggered when I get destroyed. And the faster games help maintain the action flowing, which is fantastic for content. Add some crazy skills and abilities that have a tremendous impact on the game. I don't know, it's just more relaxed and fun. So, all of this to say, expect more Legends content. Almost on par with PC games. If my channel suffers from it, so be it. But I have to listen to myself and play the games I like, because in the end, this is what impacts the quality of my videos. Let me know what you think. I would appreciate the feedback. Shots out on Kaga, maximum range. I mean, at this point, it's not like there's any surprises here, right? Kaga is almost stationary, we overmatch her deck, our Kraken is served on a silver plate, especially considering the grouping of these shells. Kansas guns are so reliable, I can't even call what a salvo will do, just like the old Montana days on PC. But that is it for this game. 200,000 damage dealt, 500,000 credits gained, and over 5,000 XP earned. We achieved Confederate Devastating Strike, High Caliber and Kraken Unleashed out of 77 hits and 3 citadels, assisting in the capture of 2 objectives and sinking 5 ships in the process. Unfortunately, my recording cut off right before I could show you the base XP screens, but as far as I recall, we had something along the lines of 2,500, give or take, nothing exceptional. A pretty decent game, even though our team sort of dominated. I think this was a good example of what the ship can do, from sniping to brawling. But that's not all I have for you today. Legends games being quite fast-paced, I got another one in store, coming right up. This one, funnily enough, was my very first game with the ship after I got the recommendation from my colleague. Though this time we selected a different consumable, spotter plane. This one doesn't give us any damage boosts as it's not pairing right with the special skill, but it does give us better dispersion when active, which always comes in handy. We are on Islands of Ice, domination, once again with a centralized spawn and a less blessed matchmaker, this time with destroyers and again a carrier. Considering the lack of speed and the inability to run away or chase down anything, I will basically try to stay in this central spot and provide support whenever is the most needed. Other battleships with better concealment, speed or armor can afford picking a flank early game, but with these thick behemoths, not so often. There being a carrier in our team, we are able to see enemy ships very early and quickly snap to an enemy mines as our first salvo. No tricks this time, no extra damage or accuracy, just a standard salvo at a medium-long range on a broadsiding cruiser. Yeah, that's Kansas for you. So you can imagine my very first impression of the ship in my very first game with my very first salvo. Mine's down anyway, 42,000 damage opening shot. I keep saying I dislike battleships due to their slower, frustrating at times gameplay with occasional battle impact but unable to really dictate how a game develops. Though now I can appreciate the pure devastation one can bring. Caliber matters, that's what I learned, I guess, after 30,000 games on PC and 5,000 games on Legends. I mean, I already knew this, but more often than not on the receiving end of such salvos, eh? Enemy Tallinn knows what I mean. We are almost at 60,000 damage with just 2 salvos out, and meanwhile, the only destroyer in the enemy team, Benson, is spotted securing Bravo. No time to load HE. Benson was already lit up previously, but we didn't have the prediction skill to load the right ammo type. Still, we land a rather decent shot before he gets into cover. Torpedoes might still be in the water, so I cut the engine. Benson's torps are rather slow and not particularly dangerous, especially considering the 40% damage reduction my torpedo bulge provides. And we are waiting for our guns to load while scanning for more broadsides. Enemy Odin and Colorado have been spotted heading for A. I am angled towards them, even though they are not the biggest threat. This New Jersey, which is basically an Iowa with more powerful guns, is my main concern right now. But there's not a lot I can do either, considering he is perfectly angled to me. So, Bismarck it is at decent range, and we land about 15,000 damage. Incoming dive bombers. These are implacables, so they have a very high chance of setting fires while dealing medium to low damage. Still, that's 10,000 plus a fire. But we are such a thick vessel that bombs tend to like hitting our wide deck more often than other battleships. I am reversing already. Might have been a little too enthusiastic about these opening salvos, and I do not want to be crossfired. There are no more juicy targets on the sea side of things for me, and our team seems to have things under control there, so I will traverse the back turrets to starboard side and engage Colorado instead, all the while maintaining a safe angle from New Jersey. The enemy team is mostly bulked at B, and I am keeping an eye on the minimap for any push through that cap. Our team has completely secured C and is about to push their flank, which in return might push them towards me, something to keep in mind. Again, I cannot run away, so positioning is sort of crucial, even if technically I haven't really left my spawn yet. Enemy Colorado, flashing her broadside, is caught in a left-hand turn, so we can line up a pretty easy shot right before he's able to push for cover. Dispersion's looking good, and we are about to punish him extremely hard. From 85,000 damage to 125, just like that. Nearly 40,000 damage on that poor tier 6 battleship. 8 pens, a citadel, 10 out of 12 shells connected. Yeah, these guns hit very hard. And I'm wondering if Kansas is as efficient as punishing targets like this on PC. Something I may have to try. Unfortunately, we cannot follow up. Colorado is in cover and goes undetected. But with him crippled, I trust my team can now have an easier time dealing with A, considering they outnumber them there. I have pushed a bit too close to B though. New Jersey is sort of mirroring my moves on the other side of the cap, and I will focus on taking shots on targets trying to compensate for the loss of C, like this Vanguard for example. I'm holding my shot, expecting more broadside. Vanguard is a squishy battleship, but also a very dangerous opponent. It differs from PC on being the tech tree instead of a premium, and has access to some pretty mean AP shells as well as main battery reload booster, if you can believe it. No citadels, but again, decent hit nonetheless. These guns seems to be overpenning way less than French 15-inch guns, for example, which is very satisfying. New Jersey, though, has decided to get right into the middle of B, and he is trouble. As long as he angles to me, there is nothing I can do except meaningless superstructure damage. He's a problem, even though we tanked that salvo pretty well. But there is no way I can run away from him if he decides to rush me, and well, outside of our friendly carrier, I don't really have any support against him right now. Random secondary hit, set us on fire, love it. We'll repair that, there's no risk of us being set on fire again as the enemy carrier is currently dealing with our teammates at A. But now, I have to decide of my next move, and I have to decide quick. I could go in a run around the rosiers situation with this island separating us, but I would leave our CV completely exposed. So, traversing the guns back to port side, I get ready for this New Jersey push. We are not a brawler at all, but we do have 32mm plating everywhere. As long as we stay properly angled, we should be rather tanky against same caliber opponents like him. My main concern, to be honest, is a ram or a turning fight, as New Jersey is, once again, much faster than I am. But as he comes around the island, all 4 of our guns are ready. And well, that's unfortunate. We blow up a turret instantly, which in his case is, well, 30% of his firepower. I'm sure he wasn't too happy about that, but we still have to deal with him. Even if we turned him into a Karaf's P, he can still be very resilient if he remains bow in. Though, it will come as a surprise, New Jersey will keep shooting at the carrier, which in his case is actually the best option, I have to admit. He might know that he's more or less doomed and tries to focus a more critical target. Guns are loaded, but we will hold our shots. Given that he's got half the firepower I have, I am now willing to engage in a turn fight and try to get on his broadside at point blank. Yes, I still very well could be citadeled to death by these 6 guns, but I am not willing to be pushed away from the action like that, while my CV is still under fire. We hit him pretty hard on the bow, no citadels though, and our Lexington seems to have set a few permanent fire on him, so in any ways he's going down. I turn my attention away from it. Return fire knocks out one of our turret and deals 10,000. That's very acceptable, but of course he repairs the fire with little to no HP left, so we'll go ahead and secure that kill once and for all. Also, I have aggressively repaired that turret knockout, so now we are burning again for a full minute. A rookie mistake that I still fall for, somehow, even after playing these games over 6 years. Go figure. Anyway, 5 minutes left on the timer, we are leading on points, but to my surprise, the enemy team has pushed us back at sea, or at least destroyed enough teammates to leave our only destroyer defending it. I will do my best to capture Bravo, but I am concerned it will bring the undivided attention of Implacable. A lone battleship in the middle of the map? Prime target for any carriers. Enemy Odin is still facing off with our teammates at A, but he will be dealt with shortly. We don't have to worry about him too much. Enemy Bismarck, on the other hand, is a bit more of a problem right now. I'm cutting the engine and try to reverse out. If I get within secondary range of him, chances are I am not winning that fight. But as a classic German battleship fashion, Bismarck will show full broadside, allowing our guns to deal pretty decent damage throughout the engagement. Bismarck's 15-inch guns pack a punch, but I believe I can remain angled long enough to survive, allowing our teammates to join in the fight. Enemy Vanguard was also spotted heading for C earlier, so staying here should also provide some cover from a potential crossfire. We have used our last heal though, and no allies are nearly close enough for me to benefit from the Will to Rebuild perk, so it is us with our 23,000 HP and a cap we can't even secure until Bismarck is down. Pretty good return salvo though, that was like 13,000 again. Bismarck beats us on the reload for sure, but if he keeps broadsiding us like this, we'll just beat him, period. Friendly Lexington HE bombers are gonna assist us greatly in this fight. Although, even if we are not showing that much broadside, every incoming salvo so far has dealt significant damage, and I have to angle more sharply. This means having our firepower halved on the next salvo. Unfortunately, that will not be enough to secure the kill. Implacable torpedo bombers have also arrived, and well, even with our above average acceleration, we are not going to be able to get out of the drop's path. That's 2 on the stern, but I think they still both hit our bulge, halving the damage and allowing us to survive. And yep, incoming crossfire from Vanguard, which we were kind of expecting. Thankfully, our teammates finish off Bismarck before he's able to let loose another salvo, and we can breathe at least for a little while. Vanguard and the enemy CV to deal with now. I believe that regardless of my survival, this game is a win. Our Lexington is safe, and we still have our destroyer as well as 2 more battleships. Point lead is 500, we should be fine. Unfortunately, we overlead the British battleship, but still land 5 overpens, which is funny, contesting the cap as well. Vanguard's return fire misses, even though we still lose progress on the zone, but our friendly destroyer is coming to assist, so I am not too annoyed on being contested back. So, the next few moments will be us trading mediocre salvos back and forth with Vanguard, and actually getting quite lucky. Her return fire has pretty poor dispersion against us. Implacable is spotted though, pushing right in behind her teammate. This could mean the end for us. We are on too low HP to withstand sustained carrier attacks, and there's already bombers on the way. But our friendly destroyer, with impeccable timing, is going to enter our wheeled rebuild range. And just like that, we go from a one-shot kill back to 20% HP within seconds, even as the bombers hit us. Unfortunately, we can't get a salvo on the Implacable. We'll just keep focusing the Vanguard instead. But look at this. We are healing up to, what, 300 HP per second? This skill is a bit insane. I would say a little game-breaking at times, and out of frustration, I guess Vanguard will go broadside to use all guns on us for the very last time. We survive, and with the Akatsuki escorting us, which I'm sending my thanks to, I am not too concerned about the Implacable anymore. Friendly Lexington has also decided to join in the fun, so we also have a rather decent anti-air bubble around us now. 2 minutes left on the timer. I think enough time to push C and get an angle on that pesky carrier. 243,000 damage so far. For a 9 versus 9 format, that's a lot of damage already. Unfortunately, we missed out on the Bismarck kill, denying any chance of getting a Kraken, but we pulled our weight enough this game and also made our point about the ship. No need to try and boast even more. I have to admit though, these few games in Kansas have reconciliated me with a class I am not playing enough. Sure, I mained Montana in the past, but most of the battleships I'm still playing today always have special gimmicks that makes them less reliant on precision or good positioning. I'm thinking Bourgogne, Jean Bart, Mecklenburg, all with a faster than usual reload. But now that I know I can reliably get these sort of salvos to bring a game to an end, yeah, I think you'll see me play battleships a bit more often now. 268,000 damage dealt. Once again, 500,000 credits gained and about 10,000 XP earned. We achieved Dreadnought Confederate First Blood, 2 devastating strikes and high caliber out of 93 shells, 6 citadels and 27 secondary hits, capturing 1 objective and sinking 4 ships in the process. 4,000 base XP and top of the scoreboard. A really good performance from Kansas overall, and this will call for the end of this episode. Thank you very much for sticking all the way through. I hope you enjoyed your time, and if you did, please give the video a thumbs up. If you didn't, well, thumbs down, but stay tuned anyway. As always, there will be more content to come about World of Warships and World of Warships Legends. Hopefully not in 5 months. Until then, you have a good one, and you take it easy.